Good morning. Today we're going to look at Revelation chapter 20, verse 1 through hopefully chapter 21, verse 14. Since Sunday, the 31st, is the last day of the year, and we would look at Revelation 22 that day, I'm hoping that I can finish tomorrow. So we're going to put an extra 14 verses from chapter 21 in today. Chapter 20 begins with the angel coming down, holding in his hand a key to the bottomless pit and a great chain. And he seized the dragon, that ancient serpent, who is the devil, Satan, and binds him for 1,000 years. So that Satan is bound with this chain for 1,000 years and thrown into this pit and locked and sealed in it, so that he can deceive nations no more. He can no longer tempt people. Satan will no longer be a presence in the lives of the world or of people. And he's going to be locked up for 1,000 years. So in many ways, I look at this, where Satan is locked up for 1,000 years, as for the people that are saying that we got all these wars and everything, so the second coming of Jesus is imminent. But if there's 1,000 years that Satan is locked up, that there is no more Satan in the world, can the second coming of Jesus be soon? Then I think again, where it says, a day is like 1,000 years in the sight of the Lord, or 1,000 years is like a day. So this timing doesn't maybe mean a lot in human terms, but it's a message that Satan is going to be bound, that Satan has no power over God, that God can, take Satan and put an end to Satan's reign. And it says after he's been bound for 1,000 years, in the end of verse 3, he must be let out for a little while. And then and then the thrones and those seated on them were given authority to judge, and the souls of the martyrs, those who had been beheaded for their faith, came to life and reigned with Christ for 1,000 years. So the martyrs and the apostles and those who have given their lives for the sake of the gospel, it says, will reign with Jesus for 1,000 years. And this, it says, is the first resurrection. Blessed are holy and those who share that first resurrection. And verse 7, when 1,000 years are ended, Satan will be released, and he will come out again to deceive the nations at the four corners of the earth, in order to, and it says Gog and Magog, in order to gather them for battle, as they are numerous as the sands of the sea. And they march over the breadth of the earth and surround the camp of the saints in the beloved city. So Satan is going to wage war upon Jesus and the saints who have been ruling for this 1,000 years. And then the end of verse 9, fire comes down from heaven and consumes them. So these people, from Gog and Magog, these demons, are consumed by the fire from heaven. In verse 10, the devil who had deceived them was thrown into the lake of fire and sulfur, where the beast and the false prophet were, so that they may be tormented for night and day. So the beast and the false prophet from earlier are in this lake of fire, this burning pit of sulfur, and Satan is cast there again. And then verse 11, I saw a great white throne and the one who sat on it, and the earth and the heaven fled his presence, and the dead, great and small, standing before the throne. And another book was opened, the book of life. And so then here it says that the dead are judged according to their works as recorded in the books. And, we aren't saved by our works. We're saved by our faith in Jesus Christ. And our works are a thankful response. Our good works, our good deeds, the good things we do are a thankful response to the saving and the forgiveness that comes in Jesus Christ. It says the sea gave up the dead. Death and Hades gave up the their dead. And then death and Hades are thrown also into this lake of fire. And this is the second death. So for those who are not judged faithful, for those whose names are not in the book of life, who have maybe already died, many people have died that don't believe in Jesus and don't believe in God. And so for them, that when their name isn't written in this book of life, they will die the second death and be thrown into that burning, fiery pit of fire and sulfur where the beast and the false prophet and Satan and all of Satan's minions are. It says, verse 15, anyone whose name was not found written in the book of life was thrown into that lake of fire. And so for those that say there is no judgment, that there is no place called hell, that there is, that everyone is going to be saved and in heaven, I mean, this revelation according to John, in Jesus' own words, we can read them in Matthew where he says, there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth, at this great judgment, because not everybody's going to get in. So we find that judgment. So chapter 20 then is the binding of Satan for this 1,000 years, and then the freeing of Satan for a short time. Doesn't tell us how many years, but a short time. And then Satan and all of the unbelievers are thrown into this burning, fiery pit. And then chapter 21, we get good news of a new world. Then I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth had passed away. So now there is, in my estimation, in my mind, there is no separation now between earth and heaven, because there is no sin on earth and in the people anymore. A new holy city, the New Jerusalem, coming down from heaven, prepared as a bride for her husband. And I heard the voice from heaven say, see, the home of God is among mortals. And so it is going to be just like it was in the beginning of creation, when Adam and Eve walked in the garden and God came and walked with them. That God will be in their midst, or that we will be in the presence of God. It says he will dwell with them as their God. They will be his people, and God will be with them. He will wipe every tear, and death will be no more. No more mourning or crying. Pain will be no more. For the first things have passed away. The first heaven, the first earth are now gone. And then verse 5 of chapter 21, the one who is seated at the throne says, see, I make all things new. Write this, for these words are true. You remember earlier when John was told, don't write this, because people can't bear it, can't see it, we don't but now it's, write these words, for these words are trustworthy and true. And to me, this is true of all of God's word, that it is trustworthy and true. And when we look at this time of judgment and the time of salvation, at the time that Satan will be bound and will be no more, I mean, this is the second coming of Jesus, when all of God's people are welcomed into heaven. And then it is done. I am the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. To the thirsty I give the water as a gift from the spring of the water of life. And the water of life, I mean, Jesus says, I am the way, the truth, and the life. I am the good shepherd. He says to this is my body, this is my blood. So the water of life comes from the throne of God and from Jesus Christ. He says, those who conquer will inherit the things, and I will be their God, and they will be my children. So those who conquer, those who remain faithful, those who conquer the temptations of Satan to say there is no God. And then verse 8, as for so this is who is there, who is in heaven, and now the next part, who is not. As for the cowardly, the faithless, the polluters, the polluted, the murderers, the fornicators, the sorcerers, idolaters, liars, their place will be in the lake that burns with fire and sulfur, the second death. And so, I mean, there is a definition of who's in heaven and who's not. The faithful and the not faithful. Those who believe in God, accept Jesus, those who don't. And then verse 9, the one of the seven angels says, come, I will show you the bride, the wife of the Lamb. And the Spirit took me away to this high mountain, and I saw the holy city of Jerusalem coming down. It has the glory of God and a radiance like a rare jewel, a jasper, clear and crystal. It has a high wall with 12 gates on it. There's, four, it's pictured as a square city with 4 great walls, 3 great big gates on each wall with 12, with one angel guarding each gate, with the names of the 12 apostles and the 12 tribes of Israel written on the stone. And and it's, the foundation is, it says the foundation, and on them are the 12 names of the 12 apostles of the Lamb. So the disciples of Jesus, those early believers, are a part of the foundation of our faith. I mean, they truly are. And so I see some of this as imagery, as our faith today and the faith of the Christian church on earth is because of the testimony not only of Jesus but of these 12 apostles. And our faith is based upon the words of these apostles. I especially think of the gospel writers, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. And it says 12 apostles, and we know that Judas betrayed Jesus, denied Jesus, and we know that Paul, who had been Saul, was chosen by this encounter with Jesus to be the apostle to the Gentiles. And so who are the 12 for sure? We don't know that, but the walls of the city, the walls of faith, and so the foundation of our faith is God, Jesus Christ, and the witness of all of those who have gone before us.